The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, another Earnestly podcast. Long-time friend of the pod. It's been a long time, at least in terms of us, not just everybody else, just us. You know, you're one of the main podcast part. You know,
that's true.
It's been too long.
That's true.
What's up? How's your summer going?
I know it has. You know, it's been a whirlwind, and I'd be lying if I said the time off hadn't been a good thing, because the day job has been going absolutely bonkers. Mm-hmm. So that's always an exciting time. And now we have lots of cool shit to talk about. So as we were tweeting about and texting about earlier, we get to have one of our good old-fashioned ADD fests where we're just all over the map. So we're pissing off the sports viewers because we're talking about news and politics. We're pissing off the nerds because they're like, yay sports, and they don't give a shit about the Lakers. So we just get to have all kinds of weird fun today.
And that's a cool thing too. It's been a while, and that is like a try. We've tried to coordinate some podcasts recently. We've traveled a lot.
No less than 6, but either like parenting or business travel or what have you gets in the way, and we've had this crazy little hiatus.
Yeah, you did a lot of traveling. So you were in New York. Were you in New York last week?
Yeah, so that's part of the day jobs. Dude, it was amazing. I love going to New York. It's funny because I had never been. Like, I got taken there when I was 4 weeks old, mm-hmm. and I had a 6-hour layover in college on my way home from Italy. That was the extent of my New York experience until about 2.5 years ago.
Right.
And now I've been like 6 or 7 times in that since that first one. And I'm probably going to be out there like 2 or 3 times a month for the foreseeable future.
Interesting. Could you see yourself living there?
Yes and no. I'll put it this way. I have a good job, and I can afford to at least have a decent roof over my head, not a phone booth with a toilet and a hot plate. So I think my experience in New York would be very different. I dig the city. I really dig it. But there are certain things about me that, you know, kind of like being from the suburbs and having garages and backyards and stuff like that. Certain things about urban living drive me crazy and make me a little stir crazy. Mm-hmm. So I only ever want to live in New York if I'm a millionaire and I can have the whole like high rise in the city Monday through Friday and a house with a yard out in the country, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So like old school mid 20th century Mad Men kind of way.
And let's be real here too, man. You're really a Cali boy at heart, man. I can't see you or else with California.
I am, dude. You know what? It's funny because I got the coolest compliment I could ever receive in New York, and I was laughing with the guys about this. So I was out there visiting a hotel for my day job. And I had been running it like after some of my colleagues would go to bed or whatever, I was going out and exploring the neighborhood so that I could kind of understand the vibe and what marketing plans are going to look like. And I like to go out in places I've never been before, and I hadn't spent time on the Lower East Side. So mm-hmm. After 2-3 days of being there, we go to check out, and the guy at the door at the hotel is like, "Holy crap, man, I am so sorry." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We never realized you were a guest. We saw you walking up and down the street, and we would have said what's up to you and everything, but we just thought you were another dude from the neighborhood." And I was like, "Yeah, man, it was like the best New York compliment I could have ever gotten."
So it's still New York or Boston, of course, right?
Yeah, I like New York. Okay, there's things about Boston I like better, but that are more problematic, mm-hmm. and then there's things about New York that I like less, but are much less problematic.
Which we discussed on this podcast before in the past. With Boston, mm-hmm. We discussed in the past. It's
absolutely,
not not very positive.
It's not dude. It's not a secret. Ask any outfielder of color that's ever had to play at Fenway.
Right, absolutely.
It's not a secret.
Well, speaking of polarizing things and whatnot, were you able to catch the Democrat debates? Any of the two?
You know, I kind of watched the highlights and fast forwarded through my DVR. You know, it's one of those things that like when you read it as much as we do and you follow it as closely as we do,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot less new information. This is really more for, kind of among the movie-going crowd. This is really for the popcorn eaters, not the film goers.
That's true. That is true.
And,
Great analogy, too. Great analogy.
And we kind of talked about this briefly in text. I really disliked how CNN moderated the debate as opposed to MSNBC. Trevor Noah kind of highlighted it and made fun of it a little bit, and then
I saw that.
Kamala Harris talked about it. Yeah, Kamala Harris talked about it today a little bit in some of the questioning she got, and it was just. It was like they were using the production crew from NBA on TNT down there in Atlanta or something. All the build up to it was just so sportsy, and you couldn't allow the candidates to give meaningful responses in the time frames in which they were allowed to respond.
Which is probably why it was so aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like they were more interested in the Hunger Games than a meaningful debate. And I think that does a disservice to the electorate, and not just because I'm a massive Aaron Sorkin fan.
Did it seem like, though, that Joe Biden was getting bullied a little bit?
No, I think he doesn't belong in the race, and it's just it's every single appearance he makes, it's gonna continue to show up. I
mean, he's still in the
again,
polls,
one of the points that came up on the Daily Show, which I think is really apropos, is that he invokes Obama whenever it's to his advantage. Excuse me, but whenever it's something that's problematic on foreign policy or immigration or what have you, it's like, Obama who?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's an advantage he has.
Oh, you mean my buddy Barry from Chicago? No, that was his thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, he's leading the polls right now still, even with everything surrounding him. I mean, all the controversy surrounding him, but the touching, and then, of course, now with the positions on things, whatnot, he's still leading the polls.
Yeah. I liked that, my dog in the race is still Senator Harris.
Right.
I have volunteered for her campaign and whatnot.
Oh, you have?
Well, I'm trying to. It's difficult to coordinate because they haven't had to do a ton out here in my neck of the woods yet, admittedly.
Well, she has. Well, to be honest with you, she has gained momentum from the first debates early in the month, early July, rather.
A lot, not a little.
Yeah.
But no. I think Joe Biden really, like, his season has passed. He's not a particularly good debater in the first place.
No, he's not.
He's been housed numerous times on national television over his many years in politics. And it's time to give way, kind of in the point that Eric Swalwell made. It's time to pass the torch to the next generation.
Oh, we agree with that. We definitely agree that it's time for the old fogies to go away. Except Joe Biden isn't even the oldest candidate on the ticket right now on the entire Democratic roster. It's
not so much old. It's not so much old in terms of a birth certificate. It's more old in terms of policy positions.
Mm-hmm. But you don't fear that.
Mark,
you don't fear though.
He and Warren and Sanders are all about the same age.
Right.
But where they I've, as a hardcore Bernie guy, 3.5 years ago, I was all over it. But I'm also one of the loudest voices in the room to say Bernie should drop out too.
Why is that though?
Senator Warren.
What is it about Bernie now?
Well, okay, Bernie's shown a couple of times now in the debates that his stump really hasn't changed since 2016. And frankly, he wasn't a good debater then. I was really, I went to a Bernie rally in San Diego. I watched a lot of his speeches on YouTube before he was getting news coverage. And I was really invigorated by everything he was saying to the crowds, and I expected some really epic performances of him bringing a lot of that heat to the debate stage. And he floundered, both in the primaries and against Secretary Clinton. For all her flaws, she kicked the shit out of him on the debate stage. And he hasn't really shifted course much, I feel like, since then. So I'm just kind of tired of hearing about the need for a political revolution and more concerned with like, so Senator Warren, you have like these 9 policy papers. Talk to me about those because I'm pretty what the senator's talking. You know?
I'll tell you what though, judging from people I talk to who are registered Democrats and following this thing tooth and nail so far early on, she has gained a lot of momentum last month.
You talking about Elizabeth Warren or
Correct.
Kamala Harris?
No, Warren.
Yeah. Well, and rightfully so. She's the one. Not only does she check the box of being able to beat Donald Trump, I believe, while she may be a senator from Massachusetts and a Harvard professor, she grew up in Texas and Oklahoma, dirt poor.
Wait, are you saying that if she wins the nomination, she could be Trump?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I have no doubts.
Defend that.
I have no doubts. I have no
curious.
doubts whatsoever that she could shine against Trump.
The one thing I want about Warren is that, and this is she's definitely far different than Hillary Clinton. She sticks to the issues.
Well, okay, look. So there's a ginormous asterisk floating next to all of this, and that is the way. I don't think it's. I'm not one of those people that thinks it's a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump can't be reelected. I know too many powerful Republicans to think otherwise now.
I'm on a likely end, to be honest with you.
Well, and so what I think this will ultimately tell the tale of is 2 things. One, can the Democrats get down as a party, as a national level after the primaries, and really come together to expose the fact that embrace people who are pro-life, embrace people who Republicans have not historically embraced, Democrats have not historically embraced, and convey to the heart of this country that stayed home in November of 2016 and that voted for Obama and for Trump, that the Republican Party is failing them. They're lying to them, and they're doing them a disservice. They're voting against their own interests. If they can't convey that message, the president will be reelected. Mm-hmm. If they try to beat him in his own game, he'll probably be reelected. If they let this thing...
I'm the guy that's still, and obviously you don't like Joe Biden. I'm with you, all that. I still think Joe Biden, and I've said this for months now, Joe Biden's biggest challenge right now isn't winning the general election; it's winning the nomination.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, I think on a national stage, one-on-one, as much as it pains me to say it, Donald Trump is successful in conveying his message to enough of the people who are only watching for the entertainment of it and not really invested in what it all means, that he'd make Biden look silly and win their votes anyway.
But couldn't Biden? I mean,
now that I've seen him debate in a 2020 environment, no, he'll get tore up because he'll try to play Trump's game. He'll stoop to his level. He'll get heated, and he'll be made a fool of.
I was actually
not to mention that if he gets through the primaries, the Democrats will have done the bulk of the RNC's work, leading up to the general.
Did you see
the other 19 Democratic candidates will have written all of the political attack ads for the RNC come the general.
Right. Did you see last night? Well, look, obviously you didn't see the debates, you saw the clips. The Kamala Harris, Tulsi Gabbard, infraction.
Oh, the thing over the marijuana conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Senator Harris, as I've learned from some of my black friends, kind of talking to them more about areas that are frankly political blind spots to me. I would have assumed arrogantly and ignorantly that Senator Harris would have been more broadly embraced by the black community. And I was surprised to learn that her record as a prosecutor is pretty problematic in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem is twofold.
Well, that actually panders a lot, too. It's early on.
She does. Yeah, and she doesn't speak to it, and I don't imagine why anyone around her would advise her to do so. Except for, taking that like movie television chance of like, just stick to your guns and own it, and the people will reward you. Nothing about the last 25 years supports that statement, but that's okay.
Yeah.
The point is, because the issues upon which Senator Harris doesn't resonate with the black community are not issues that the mainstream media is asking about.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Tapper's not asking those questions. Chris Wallace is not at Rachel Maddow. They're not asking those questions. So it's one of those things that last night's hashing it out in the CNN debate format was unfair to all sides.
Okay.
Congresswoman Gabbard has a really legit gripe, and there's a whole lot of people that agree with her that the senator did some really shitty things by way of marijuana prosecution and others prior to becoming a senator. And the senator should be afforded an equal and reasonable opportunity to rebut those claims.
Or explain her to...
Because as somebody who really supports her and really likes her and particularly fell in love with her as a politician, and my belief that she could be our next president came when she was already a senator. I want to hear her talk about those things because I want to know if I want my support of her to be validated.
Because I will say that
if she has a problematic record and she can at least speak to it, I'm cool with that.
And yeah, and not only that, I think her really strong pro-law enforcement background actually is, if she actually does get nominated, it is a advantage for her to use in the general election to the moderates and even some Republicans to some degree who are not on the Trump train.
Absolutely. And she could say, look, which is an argument that many police officers will make in regard to the tough decisions they're forced to make every day. And it's that, like, look, I can't sit here and tell you that today in 2019 or 2020 that I agree with the position of the law when I was a 31-year-old prosecutor.
Right.
In wherever the hell she was working in the DA's office. And I was in a position where I had a job to do. I had laws that I was required to enforce in case cases as a DA that I was required to prosecute. Does that mean that I thought every case was a good case? No. Does that mean that I think our legal system is perfect? No. But that's what I did the best that I could with what I had. And that's something that I think, like you said, resonates in a general.
Plus, the political atmosphere in general, like, you have the space now to own it. Even if it's wrong, you can own it. Because look who's our president. You can fuck up and be okay.
I think, frankly, we're at a point in American politics, and frankly, my future political career depends on it, where people can own their shit.
Yeah.
And just be like, yep, I did that. I'm not a pillar of perfection. Stop asking me to be one because it's not.
The good thing of having Trump as president now is that he has opened the door for more transparency in such a way that you can't necessarily, unless you murdered somebody or had a sexual assault. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because, I mean, there's still pending accusations against Donald Trump. But anyway, but beyond that, no, seriously, but
that notwithstanding,
right? I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit there and say he didn't do anything. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But the bottom line is this: is that the atmosphere alone has now been created for both Democrats and Republicans to just own your shit. If you did something wrong, own it and move forward.
No, I mean, no, I get the point. Look, I don't agree with it, and I'd like to believe that it comes from a slightly more altruistic and ethical place. But the point you're making is valid in the sense that Trump basically went, look, I'm an asshole. I cheated on my wife a few times. I banged some good-looking broads, and I did some things that your mother probably isn't terribly proud of. But these guys over here are totally fucking you over, and I can do better. You want to do it? You couldn't do any worse. the answer is yes. We absolutely.
The Democrats need to stop playing. The Democrats need to stop playing nice, and enough of the nice bullshit, man. People don't want people want honest and transparency, and even though we know Donald Trump is a liar. We know this already. I mean, it is what it is. Still,
there's a very careful dance you have to do, though, because people underestimate Donald Trump all the time in his ability to evaluate the room and know what's necessary to get out of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to beat him purely at his own game, you're going to lose because you're not going to be able to outsmarm him. Every time you think you've hit rock bottom, he'll go lower. And he won't think twice about it, and he won't hesitate.
Oh, no.
So there's a way to be the Zen person in the room to take the shot. Like, you got to be Kobe. You can't be, like, think of it angry. You can't be Ron Artest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he's going to get inside your head, and you just have to let it fuel you to be cleaner and hard. And I'm not saying, like, full Michelle Obama. Like, you got to be a little more sinister than that.
Yeah.
But if you try to beat Trump at his own game, you're going to lose.
Which candidates, in your opinion, okay, forget who you're supporting. Which candidates, in your opinion, so far, give me 3 if you want to, maybe more, that you say you feel that could at least hold their own in a debate with Trump in terms of not having to go into the mud, but be able to still be stable and not have to fall for the old dog and pony show, if you will.
Warren, Harris, Buttigieg. An honorable mention to Marianne Williamson, just because I think she could pull some crazy shit out of her ass and surprise us.
Not Bernie?
No, actually, Trump would make him look stupid. There was a point where I felt like Bernie could very easily beat Trump in a general election, maybe in a debate, but Bernie doesn't improvise well enough to roll with what Trump might throw at him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He sticks to the script a little too much. Kind of like it was like Boston and the Dodgers in the last World Series,
mm-hmm.
where Dave Roberts didn't alter the plan, or the IT department didn't let him alter the plan from Milwaukee to Boston, and he stuck to the script and got beat by somebody who was improvising. I think the same is true of Trump and Sanders, whereas I think in general, Bernie and Trump represent a lot of the same things from different ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like they employ a lot of the same populism and things like that. They just do it from different places and with different support reasoning. That said, again, Trump is so like stream of consciousness. He's Charlie Parker. And Bernie's Glenn Miller. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. Trump's just all over the place. He's doing 100 different things at once. I don't think Bernie can keep track of it. He gets stuck in his political revolution script, and, you know, Trump would be calling his mother the C word. You know?
Yeah. It's open. Last thing here.
No, I don't think he does well on that particular front.
Last thing I want to talk about here on regarding the Democratic debate and all that. Dude, what the fuck has happened to Beto O'Rourke?
I think he probably wasn't that good a candidate to begin with, and we all got captivated in the moment that, like, I think our hatred of Ted Cruz nationally,
mm-hmm.
and particularly within the liberal media complex, like, let's not pretend that it doesn't lean left. Snowflake over here will be the first one to tell you it does. That's it. But, like, no, I think we were just all so excited by the fact that we had somebody that we could reasonably, like a horse we could reasonably ride to make fun of and beat Ted Cruz, that we didn't really spend a whole lot of time fact-checking or, you know, vetting how good Beto really was. And so he, unfortunately, was, you know, a little less Prince and a little more Milli Vanilli.
Well, I mean, he came out the gate with great fundraising when he declared to run, and then after that happened, the first.
Well, yeah, but I think people, once they like saw just a hair of his charisma, and then he made national news or like got on the Daily Show a couple of times, mm-hmm. and they're like, "Oh my God, Ted Cruz is the worst. This guy's kind of cute and kind of fun. Like, oh, good shit. If we could beat him, oh yes.
I remember last year. This was not even a full year ago. White Obama, remember the White Obama, the next guy in line.
Oh my!
Not even a year ago, bud.
And he's a white guy with an Irish last name and a Hispanic first name. He speaks Spanish and English fluently and interchangeably. He flails his hands like a crazy person. But I think realistically, we all just hated Ted Cruz more than we liked Beto, and none of us really paid attention to the fact that he wasn't a very good politician. And so now that he's put on a stage with a bunch of pros, he got the shit kicked out of him.
Is it possible though that maybe a little bit too much too soon, and maybe in 2024, maybe you can see maybe him polish up a little bit?
I'd hope so. I like to hope the best for everyone except for a handful of people. And
right.
And no, if Beto can learn from this and make him a better politician and go back to Texas and lick his wounds and come back and run for senator or run for governor or maybe even run for president another 4, 8, 12 years, whatever.
He's young enough.
He might fucking get. Yeah, dude. America loves a redemption story. Get her done.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, no problems there. But, dude, stop embarrassing yourself. Do not go to the third debate, even if you statistically make it. I'd really like to see the DNC just go, you know what, guys? This has been really fun and really entertaining, and nothing against any of you personally, but this is a waste of everyone's fucking time and energy. So, Biden, Warris, Harris, Sanders, you guys go on, and Marianne Williamson, Pete Buttigieg, you guys can have like a pie eating contest or a cage match or whatever the fuck works for you to figure out who goes through to each successive debate.
Where is I haven't seen polls recently, but where is Beto currently polling right now?
I don't even know, but if it's not in the toilet, it's definitely in the bathroom.
Like it's under 10%?
It has to be. Admittedly, I have been so slammed by the day job during the day and then riding the bicycle at night that I have watched almost no news in 2 weeks. Kind of been liberating though too.
No, it's good.
It's like all the hosts are on vacation and the correspondents are filling in on all the major shows anyway. So like, who the hell cares if I miss Deadline White House? It's John Heilman, not Nicole Wallace.
Let me look right now. I'm actually looking at it right now. I'm looking at the polling right now. Give me a second. I'm on 538.
Are you looking at? Okay, so are we talking about Quinnipiac? Oh, 530. Okay. Yes, I like real clear politics because even though their webpage looks like it was built.
I do too.
I would say even though their webpage looks like it was built in GeoCities in 1994 or something like that, it's a really clear-cut scoreboard of who's where and why and how.
This is the polling as of between July 29th and July 31st. This is basically a couple days ago. Joe Biden leading pretty handily, still 30%.
So that's leading right into this most recent debate,
right?
Because obviously people polled had not watched it yet.
It actually may not be. It may actually not include the debate last night, honestly. But this is right now the polls right now of.
No, there's no way it could. There'll be at least a 6 to 8 day lag time between the debate and like seeing the bumps and falls.
We'll probably get a new poll next week then. Probably early next week then. Not right now.
Exactly.
So as of yesterday, and I'm going to assume this is prior to the debate or even both debates. Joe Biden leading at 30%. You got Bernie Sanders 17%, Kamala Harris at 8%, Elizabeth Warren 8%, Buttigieg at 5%. Yeah, O'Rourke is at 3%, dude. Yeah, he's fucking toast, and he's been that way pretty much. I mean, I'm looking at the polls for the last.
Honestly, I think truly a tragic number of Americans have, for a variety of reasons, whether intentional or not, could not give a shit less and really have no fucking clue what's going on with where we are in the election cycle and where people stand on the issues. Mm-hmm. Biden and Sanders drop out tomorrow, and Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris are at the top of the polls, and nobody's even in the conversation.
Like, yeah, does it also feel like Joe Biden is there by name? Oh, it's Joe Biden. Okay, cool. Joe Biden, I know who Joe Biden is because of Obama. You know.
Oh yeah. No, President Obama liked him. He was his VP. They're like bros and shit. I saw some memes about that. Okay, yeah, I like Biden. Okay, that works.
Actually, Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris are polling much better in the Quinnipiac polling from a couple days ago.
Well, I mean, and they went up. They've been consistently going up since the first MSNBC debate. And the more exposure they're getting, the more time they're spending on the ground. I mean, that's really, to me, that's the ticket. Is in regardless of who's in the 1 and 2 spot, shit, they can trade offices every other month for all I care.
Mm-hmm.
As long as Senators Harris and Warren are the top 2 executives in charge of this country, I think we're going to be on a much better path. And I think that, their combined policy, ability, knowledge, prowess, cunning, whatever, stacks up better than anything else the Democratic Party could potentially offer.
I'm checking Florida right now, the Florida polling right now. I mean, Biden obviously leading the Florida polls. Warren is actually polling pretty decent in the St. Pete polls. She's actually polling pretty decent in Florida. So, that's something to look at. I don't know. Remember the fun we had a couple years ago when we were doing the around the caucus and into the caucus, and and then it was two different parties having, because remember Obama was going to be unseated anyway no matter what because he had served 2 terms. We had 2 parties going at it, to nominate their candidate. I mean, I have one obviously because Trump's going to go for re-election, of course, but it was so much fun we had a couple years ago on the podcast when we were covering this the cycle. It was so much fun. I can't wait to. I can't wait to next year.
Think of how many television shows were created because of the last election cycle. Like you and I both used to watch, with all due respect, on Bloomberg with Heilman and Halperin. That show was literally created and dissolved for the sole purpose of covering the 2016 election.
Shit, the circus was created because of that.
No, but look, I think, and this has nothing to do with political ideology. This has to do with simple dollar sense and Jefferson versus Adams, but ultimately coming together for the health of the republic. If the president wins re-election, provided that the Democrats have completely not shat the bed as they did last time, it will go to show that the moneyed interests have completely upended the political process, at least with respect to the presidency in this country.
I think we can really assume that now.
Because rich guys don't care that Donald Trump is dangerous. Rich guys don't really buy how hated he is. Rich people live in a different world than the rest of America, and they think everything is better than it is because everything in their life still functions.
Their goggles are different from everybody else's goggles.
And I learned that the more and more I work in my day job industry, the more people I meet who say know the president or work in similar lines of the private sector, whatever. You go to it really makes you understand exactly how he got elected in the first place and how easily he could be reelected if we don't pay attention.
Totally agree with you. All right, it's been a while. Your Lakers
turn the corner.
It's time. Your Lakers. Grade their off season. A to F.
A minus.
Okay.
A minus.
I think you must say B plus.
The only way the Lakers household is probably the most difficult as far as the report card question is concerned. The only way they could have gotten a flat A is if they had gotten Kawhi, and they got screwed. But you know what? Sorry.
Are you mad about it? Are you mad about the Kawhi, Sean?
No, honestly, I'm not. I'm not mad. It would have been absolutely freaking sick had we gotten Boogie and AD and LeBron and Kawhi and put all those pieces together. That would have been freaking sick.
But as an NBA fan, you have to at least like the fact that it seems like
my frustration with the Clippers fans, the 7 of them that do exist in LA, runneth over, and I'm really tired of hearing their shit. and nothing would have made me happier than if they completely struck out in the off season. So, tip of the cap for getting Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Neener. It's redundant and ultimately going to fail you in the playoffs, but you'll be interesting for most of the season.
Wow.
As the Lakers... Yeah, no, dude, no shortage of salt here. We got the whole fucking mind behind me. Let's go. You know what?
Cocky Laker man is back after 6 years.
No, but... And you know what? Get Jabari on the goddamn phone because he will back me up on all this. He's got like a whole barrel of salt for the internet to just sprinkle.
Follow him on Twitter.
Right
Jabari Davis NBA. You'll see. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, just sprinkling salt on the sidewalk like the
subtleties
dude in Home Alone.
Are for real, buddy.
It's unfathomable. But look. KD's injury is going to be career altering, and it really pains me to say that because he's one of the sickest players I've ever seen with my own two eyes. And his leaving Golden State blew the West up. Mm-hmm. So with the West wide open, the East is wide open. This was the richest free agent class since the decision. Mm-hmm. Like, it's wide open, and I gotta believe that, like, pound for pound, Lakers look pretty freaking good.
I'll say this much, though. I've been telling folks this. People always ask me, well, who's the winning title next year? And to me, it's simple. All things even, though, Mark, if LeBron's healthy, if AD can finally stay healthy, they're the best team. That's simple.
Yeah, but you know what? And here's the thing. Think about how good JaVale looked last year and then how tired he looked at the end of the year. The combination of, like, platooning AD, Boogie, JaVale, and then playing small and doing whatever, I gotta believe the amount of good to great basketball that lives in Boogie's feet and the ceiling to which JaVale can play and whatever chance you have to make AD elite within the constraints of his chronic injuries. Like, I don't think, if you're going into a training camp, I don't think you could have mitigated all those problems better than the trifecta of JaVale, Boogie, and AD. Mm-hmm. Like, what's out there, what was available, short of maybe getting Hassan Whiteside and a personal epiphany in the offseason, you know?
You got Danny Green, too. You got Danny Green, the playoff.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing about the Lakers right now. They have all the role-playing of a Miami or Cleveland championship team, but with a lot more star power, like an LA-appropriate level of star power. And I've got to think that in a wide-open NBA landscape, they've got as good a chance as anybody right now.
I'll say this much. The upside...
Houston's a freaking mess, and as much... Like, I'm so happy that they figured that out and got Chris Paul out of there, and that, you know, Russ and Harden reunion, how cute is that? I don't think that's going to work to win the championship.
During the conversation, I will say this, on the conversation, by virtue of all the narratives, I like the Clippers roster top to bottom, though. I will say that. They're amazing. It's good. No, it's good. And the Warriors are not out. No,
and then when you start looking east, like Milwaukee's sick, Boston's still pretty decent. Brooklyn, even minus KD, is respectable.
Philly?
God knows. I mean, it's good enough. They got the shot blocker that looks like something out of the like a 70s ABA game. I can't think of his name right now. But the guy who just blocks everybody.
Okay.
They got a couple other nice pieces, and they got Kyrie.
Well, I mean,
not to mention an insane training staff.
I'll say about the Lakers. I mean, LeBron has had, you know, a lot more rest up because they're missing the playoffs last year, missing so many games last year. You know, if he stays healthy, if AD, and by the way, AD is a pretty good, nice bet for MVP next year. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, I mean, think about it this way: when was the last? I mean, it's been a decade since LeBron didn't play into June. And he's played on at least 4 international. He's played 3 Olympics in that span, right? and because of the way, not because it's been 12 years, but because of the way they fell. And didn't he play a FIBA or two? Like when he was younger, like
he was
around
younger. I don't remember exactly, but
didn't he play a 2010 FIBA or something like that?
2010, no.
So I mean, regardless, I mean he's been playing year-round basketball for better than 60% of the last 11 years.
Speaking of LeBron, though, what did you make of the whole quote unquote controversy with him, being a parent and all excited over his son?
Shut the fuck, get out of here. Okay, let's take the whole annoying parent thing out of the game. I didn't play a lot of competitive basketball, but I did play a fair amount of baseball as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
If God forbid, Ken Griffey Jr.'s kid was on my team and he was at the games screaming like a fucking maniac, dropping whatever swear words he wanted to cheer us on, every single one of the kids on that bench would have lost their shit. He's not a regular parent just being annoying at a game. He's LeBron James at a basketball game. Shut up.
You have to admit,
forgetting the fact that he genuinely is super supportive, and him and Bronny go to Dwayne Wade's son's games and blow the place up. But if you're an 11, 12, 14-year-old kid and one of the kids on your team happens to be the son of LeBron James, how hyped are you going to be going into every game knowing that the King's over there just going nuts?
Here's my one issue with that, Mark, and I'm with you on that. He's a great parent and all that, and we all acknowledge that. If that was me doing that with my son, I could look at differently.
Yeah, but you're not one of the top 3 greatest basketball players of all time.
But Mark, you have to admit, it was a little over the top, though. A little over the top.
Okay, fine. But it's different for him because he's one of the greatest 3 to 5 basketball players of all time, and he's at a basketball game.
Different rules and people. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Look, it's not right, but it is.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that again, to me, a little over the top, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I love it because I can only think back to if I was 11 years old and Bronny was on my team, even if I was a bench warmer, the fact that LeBron was at every single one of our games, screaming and yelling every time something went remotely right, that would be really freaking cool.
Mm-hmm. Also, by the way,
if my parents were pissy about that, I'd be like, "Are you guys kidding me? LeBron James came to our game. Shut up."
And Mark, and guess what? And by the way, also slow news week. Also, if this would happen in October, November, not granted, it won't happen because he's playing basketball in November or October. Independent.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make news except between June and August.
Yeah.
Any other time of the year, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. So I don't know, whatever. It's I always say people say, oh well, September is dependent time. To me, it's August. I'm an August guy. Dependent time starts in August.
Yeah, well, because August is where you build the kindling up, and you decide what kind of team you're going to be. I think you're leading into your Mets here a little bit.
Well, maybe now because they play a little better, but yeah. They won against.
But no, I'm with you because August is the shittiest month of the year. It's effectively the last month of the year because you go to the 40-man roster in September. So if you're a guy who's going to be playing in October and you're an everyday player, September is kind of a little easier to deal with because in the case of a team like the Dodgers, your fate is pretty well sealed. The games matter a lot less for you. And who cares? Because there's 3 20-year-olds who are going to get 14 major league at-bats between now and the start of the postseason. Mm-hmm. You're taking every bit of that rest you can get.
Yeah, of course.
So I agree with you 100%. August is the shittiest month, and the teams on the brink will define their year by their August.
Well, the biggest trade of the trade deadline was Greinke going to the Astros. I mean, that's pretty fucking big.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
that one makes me worry a little bit because Greinke's pretty well cooked, as was evidenced on Arizona. But just like when people kind of said the same thing about Verlander, and then he went to Houston and pitched his ass off through October, much to my own personal dismay. Greinke's primed for that same kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
So going to a team that deep, there's just enough magic probably left in that shoulder to be really problematic, at least as far as my October is concerned.
Yeah. I also think your boy Puig, Yashel Puig, going to the Indians helps them too.
Oh, that's a move I like a lot, actually.
I do too.
That because he was still playing pretty well, not all-star level well, obviously, but provided the problems he brings aren't an overwhelming burden on the Indians clubhouse, he's going to make them better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you guys are already a shoe in the division. You're 15 and a half games up in the division.
Yeah, I mean it's something
it's
stupid, and the other teams in the division aren't good. The teams that I worry about are, Chicago, St. Louis, New York, Boston, Houston.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you too.
Outside of that, it's just kind of watching Dodger games for exciting moments, seeing who's coming up, like the youngsters fighting for, the guys that are getting sent up and down all year long with the injury rotation.
What do you do at this point now? When you're so far up in the standings right now. I mean, you obviously want to protect home field advantage, but other than that, how do you prepare for the next 2 months for the playoffs?
I think and granted, I am indoctrinated by local LA radio, so I'm drunk on the Kool-Aid, right?
Of course. When are you not though? Come on, seriously. When are you not?
No, I know. No, but I mean, it's especially bad right now. We are so sniffing our own farts, it's not even stupid. But, but the point is, I think this Dodger team, of the last three, between 17, 18, 19, is far and away the most cohesive squad we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the fact that they got to the World Series after losing Corey Seager to Tommy John and just patchworking in Manny Machado is in and of itself kind of a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the 17 season started, you're like, oh boy, this could get ugly, but then it got crazy in a hurry. This squad is salty.
Mm-hmm.
They're gritty, they're pissed off, they're tired of losing, and they're not going to take no for an answer. They have, LA gets a bad rap as a sports city, and their teams kind of always get labeled as, finesse teams and whatnot. But I think the Dodgers are gritty as shit, and they're tired of losing.
Yeah. Speaking of tired of losing, the Mets are on fire. 1-7 in a row, and they're only 4 back of the wild card now. Holy crap.
Just because we're on the airwaves, I'm totally going to take the same shot I took earlier in a text message and tell you that defrosting is not heating up, sir.
That's true. That's true.
So cool. Take a breath and cool your jets.
I'm glad I didn't give up. Mark, I did a podcast a month ago, and one of the topics on the show was, and this is something I adopted last year. When the Mets aren't interesting by June, I check out. Goodbye. I'll see you next year. I'm kind of
If by the time we're going to the All-Star game, you're having to pay, you're turning down offers to go to games. You're I'd rather play with the kids.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, then you're okay, cash in your chips. But no, it's not nothing that they took Syndergaard off the block. That obviously the front office believes in the squad, and they're and even bigger point, Edwin Diaz. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not nothing that they took those guys off the block. The front office obviously believes in the team, and they're going to make a push. So whether they do it successfully or not is still going to be rad for the people that love the Mets.
And that's what's strange with this team too. And look, I have been plugging the last couple months, but this team hasn't really had any major injuries. They should have been as bad as they were.
Yeah, there was really no reason for it.
I mean, by the way, P. Alonso is the man, though. Oh my God, that kid is amazing. He's made a season worth watching.
Yeah, he's. I mean, just crazy injury. The thing that always makes me so worried is what AAU and the year-round baseball culture, like Clay Thompson's dad, Michael Thompson, is a huge, like, antagonist of the AAU all-star club sports culture, where kids are playing sports, 11 and a half months out of the year. And the same sport all the time. Because, look at Corey Seager, 22 years old, having Tommy John surgery and all this crap. He was like, he would not let his kids play on club squads. He would not let them play the same sport year round. It was like, no, you're going to play baseball. So he's like, by the time you get to high school, if you start standing out and getting recruited for something, okay, you can focus on that.
Right.
But I want you, if you're playing sports year round, you're playing 3 sports.
By the way, I don't think the Mets will get into playoffs regardless. It's just too good to be true. But at least they made it somewhat interesting in August. I will say that. All I want at this point. Before I let you go, what's some of this biking thing you're doing lately?
Okay, so this goes back to before I knew you, but I used to race bicycles. It was a fitness thing.
Really?
I lost a bunch of weight racing bicycles with a guy I used to ride motorcycles with, and excuse me, he got me into it. I got bit by the bug. It became really, really fun. And so now I decided I wanted to get in shape. The weather's really nice in Southern California, and there's a bike just collecting dust hanging on a hook in my wall. And so I got it tuned up and got back on the road. Hope to start racing again in October, but for now I like to get out there and ride.
I mean, I'm kind of there with you.
And it's the best, man. Like, it totally alters your mood because, like, it really kicks the crap out of you in terms of, like, the cardiovascular stuff and actually.
Oh, it really does. It absolutely does. I agree 100%.
You sleep better. Your affect is better. The wife and kids will probably like you a lot more. So
that's true.
Dust your bike off and get out there and, take Eli with you.
Oh, yes, I got to. I really do. No, I got a bike too. I've a mountain bike I've had sitting in my garage for about 3 years now. I haven't used much recently, so I would like to get it out there too in the same way. I used to love biking.
Those sundown rides, right when it starts to cool off a little bit. Although in the south it's a little different. For us it drops into the low 70s at night, and it's actually pretty pleasant. But for you guys, I don't know.
I know. I'm gonna start trying to bike in the next couple of weeks and see if I can get some time. But my problem is I don't have no time to do shit. Probably have no time to do shit. My wife and I have this opposite schedules, and the kids. Once Eli's back in school, maybe I'll help a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, I don't have time to do nothing, bro. I just it sucks.
Get lights, and go at 5 a.m.
I may have to.
Do it.
But I maybe only do that on selected days though, because I work late on a couple days a week. So
that's true. You could even bike home from work. There's nobody on the road when you get off. You never have to worry about cars. Just put lights on there for the the most basic safety.
That's true. That's a good point. Anyway, anything else you want to cover before we get you go?
Is there anything we didn't cover tonight?
No. I'm looking at the list now, and
NFL training camp. There's literally nothing exciting to talk about.
As we speak, the first preseason game is on right now. Do you care? Not really.
No.
I care.
I'll start tuning into the Rams in week 3 to see if people are saying it's a disaster or if it's a road back to the Super Bowl. But no, there's really nothing exciting happening right now. I'm watching more baseball and basketball.
That Todd Gurley situation is going to be very fascinating this year. The Todd Gurley situation. Very fascinating. Storied.
I'm curious to see what moves get made throughout the year.
Yeah. We hit up the Democrat debates. We got all bases covered right now. It is slow time of the year right now. So, obviously, we'll have more to talk about in the coming weeks and the coming months and all that. So,
Yeah, that's why we needed a little break because there'd be nothing current to talk about otherwise this time of year.
Hey, got almost an hour on this one, man. Mark, thank you so much for coming to the pod. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And have a great night.